Ladies in red. Ladies in red. Ladies in red. Discuss the latest news, just fans giving their views. This channel is red. They see the bar and raise it, plus they rep for the ladies. Trust it's red. Female voices in football. Red. If you want to talk up, it's a red channel for me and you. Subscribe and tune into the Ladies in Red.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Ladies in Red. Quite a bit to talk about, to be fair. Quite a bit to talk about, and I'm joined by the lovely Mais. Mais, thank you so much for joining me again. How are you doing this evening?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you? And thank you for having me on again.
Always a pleasure, always a pleasure. And I'm doing good, thank you. I'm much better than I was earlier on this week. Obviously, when we talk about United, I'd say I'm not so good, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But health-wise, I'm good, thanks. Not too bad. Look, we're going to get straight into it. Middlesbrough yesterday. I mean, I did say on my stream, to be fair, they're not going to be pushovers. But after that first half, I was thinking, you know what, we should be banging in goals here. We didn't take our chances. And I think quite simply we were punished for not taking our chances. We can talk about the penalties. We can talk about the handball, which was blatantly a handball, by the way. And we'll definitely talk about that in a second. But ultimately, we're to blame on. We're the ones who are most at fault for not taking our chances, mate.
Exactly, we're 100% at fault for this, and I think a lot of people underestimated Middlesbrough as a team. I seem to think that when you do play a team that are in the Championship, League 1, League 2, they're always going to put such a big A game on because they think, this FA Cup is historical, the oldest cup in England. I want to try and win this. It's a great achievement. It secures me Europa League football, because regardless what league you're in, you'll get that Europa League football. So it's such a big trophy, especially when you're not in the Premier League, especially, and it's just a real good trophy to have there in your cabinet. And knowing that, looking at Middlesbrough's stats, they obviously sacked Neil Warnock, and they got Chris Wilder in. Chris Wilder was the last time he came to Old Trafford, he obviously beat Manchester United. Fair play to him that he done that, and he actually has only had one defeat so far at Middlesbrough, and that was against Blackburn a couple of games ago. So he's got pretty much the same stats as Rangnick. He's had only one defeat, just like Rangnick. The rest are wins and draws. So similar stats. Brand new manager coming into that, and you've got to have that advantage. Yes, he's been in the Premier League, so he kind of knows how Manchester United play. But I think Manchester United, we just couldn't take our chances. We've got more than enough good players there to take shots, to score goals. We have 30 total shots and only managed one goal. 30. And I look at that and think, how embarrassing is that on a real basis?
It's embarrassing. Like you say, we had plenty of chances, and you kept saying the word over and over again, that trophy. We said getting a trophy should be our priority this season before all of the drama with Ollie and whatnot. We always said a trophy is what we should be going for, because we keep it in our semi-finals and not getting over the final hurdle. And to go into Middlesbrough in the manner that we did yesterday, and fair play to them, that they stayed in the game. Obviously, they battled well, defended really, really well throughout. Great penalties at the end. Alanga steps up and obviously missed, and we always knew he was going to get abused. And unfortunately, that's what happens. But you know what? He's a hero for stepping up in the first place. It shouldn't have got to that point. And we have to be brutally honest about that. We should have put the game to bed in the first half, to be honest. We had plenty of chances, missed a penalty as well. There's no excuses. But yeah, it's another trophy that we're out of. Obviously, there is still a Champions League, mate, but that's looking very unlikely. But we do, after all, have missed the Champions League within our ranks, I suppose. And happy birthday to Ronaldo today as well. Obviously, he's 37. But yeah, I felt deflated. But yesterday, I wasn't even shocked. That's where I'm at with United at the minute. I feel I've already said, so distant from the team. I've never felt so separated from the team, from the club. And that yesterday, like, I don't even hurt as much like it used to. It used to hurt bad. And now it's just like, yeah, I'm disappointed, but I kind of expected it.
You know what? I was so disappointed when it came to the Europa League final loss. I was so disappointed when we got out the FA Cup last season, the Carabao Cup last season. And then yesterday, a lot of people say, I'm so heartbroken, I'm so deflated. I was like, I'm not. I was thinking, why am I not feeling like this? And it's just like, I've already seen so many bad results this season. And it's just like, I felt more heartbreak in the last couple of games with Liverpool, Manchester City. even Watford, I felt more disappointed in. And yesterday's game, I just didn't feel disappointed at all. I just felt angry more than anything, just to think that how could we have not finished that game in the first half with the amount of shots we had? We could be 4-5, even 6-0 up by the time it came to the first half, and then they scored in the second half.
Yeah, and there's no way we can be blaming the manager. We've witnessed Bruno missing an open goal, Ronaldo missing a penalty. We just, going forwards like you say. And to be fair, we did create chances, and I know it's Middlesbrough, but that first half in particular, I thought, you know what, this is actually a decent performance. We were pushing up high, moving the ball quickly, finding the gaps. Like I say, we created chances, and we haven't created chances like that for a long time. But we have to say it is Middlesbrough, and we have to take that into account. But to then not put these chances away is criminal, isn't it? It's absolutely criminal to not put the chances away. I want to talk about the handball, because it was a handball, quite blatantly a handball. They were saying it was accidental. How many accidental handballs have we seen giving us penalties? Like, since VAR has been put in place, so many. So how that hasn't been overruled is beyond me. The only thing I can think is because obviously the story, the underdog going through against Manchester United at Old Trafford. You know what I mean? It's just I can't for the life of me still see how that was given. But even so, as I've already mentioned, the game should have been put to bed long before that. But yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same as me and you. We're numb. We're done. Like we're just used to this feeling now, unfortunately. I just want to shout out a few people in the chat as well. Big up to Shivan, who's just allowed to Acid. Acid is in the chat as well. So I can't join us doing work, but I'm not angry. It's actually just funny now. Why be heartbroken? We're used to it now. Also, hi to Soph and Maisie. Exactly that. Ronaldo was horrible. It wasn't his best game yesterday, was it, Maze?
No, it wasn't Ronaldo's best game. It just seems like he hasn't really been on form at all this season, and I was expecting, with the amount of chances he easily probably had 3-4 shots on target in the whole game. You would expect him to at least put some of them away. He's had 5 league goals this season, and I've even said, right, 12 years ago he was in the Premier League. So 12 years ago Premier League, and 12 years ago and now the Premier League is completely different. And I thought you need to give that little bit of leeway, because it's probably like he's going back into the league all over again. But there's simply no excuses whatsoever in terms of not putting these chances away, because he had a penalty. I know people say a penalty's under pressure, but it's a 50-50 chance, and he should be doing a lot more. He didn't even get that on target. And then he had a couple of open goals, just like Bruno had a couple of open goals as well. When you look at that handball, blatant handball, and this is the problem, is there is no clear rules in VAR with the referees to say this is a handball, this is not a handball, this looks like accidental, this is not accidental. And I do question who's more to blame. Is it the refs or is it VAR? But you can clearly see that on pictures, so VAR should have intervened with that and said, no, this goal does not stand. It is a handball.
VAR should have intervened. I agree with that. But also, as a referee, we could see it from miles away.
Yes.
We could see that it was a blatant handball. And so, I just can't. If a defender does that, you give it as a penalty straight away if that's in the box. So I don't understand how that wasn't given. It was a clear advantage as well. His touch was going away from goal, and he hit his hand, and it's come back into his path. It's giving him an advantage, and I don't understand how that wasn't given. I'm still baffled by it, completely baffled. But nonetheless, we should have taken our chances, and we deserve to be punished for not doing that. But even to Doug, he said, I read something that United never won a penalty shoot in the FA Cup. Yep. How scary is that? How many corners has it been as well since we've scored? That
the
has to be another
last time we scored a corner was actually in May 2021 by Harry Maguire.
There you go. Shocking stats. I mean, the worst thing, the most banter thing about it is the fact that we actually employed someone to improve those stats as well, and just, yeah. Zio's in the chat. Big up to Zio. Let me know if you want to jump on, Zio. He says, who is Manchester United? Never heard of this team before. Sounds stressful. Bant'Chester United, we're now calling them, because truly stressful. When's the next international break? That's all I'm saying. Evening to Niall. Hope you're doing good. Niall, I did see you on May's channel yesterday, so big up to you for that as well. I think our bright spark, I would agree. I think it was Sancho. I think he looked absolutely shattered at the end. But I think for it, especially in the first half, obviously he hit the bar very early on, which I would have been buzzing if that went in for him. But obviously got his goal as well, a bit further on into the game. But he was our bright spot, mate. I thought he was the one who actually was getting on the ball, finding the spaces, being a bit more direct. His decision making in the final third, I thought, was the best of the lot, really.
Yeah, I completely agree. Sancho, for me, in terms of forward player, he was by far the better player. He actually hit the crossbar as well early on in the game. I was actually nearly convinced it was going in, but that goal, what Sancho done, the way he was able to run, the way he was able to counter-attack and get that in, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. But for me, Varane was another standout player for me because a lot of people were blaming Varane for that goal, but Varane was actually trying to mark the player who was done that handball. Nobody was marking Crooks, and that should have been Maguire's, Shaw's. It should have been also McTominay, even Paul Pogba. All them should have been at least marking Crooks. You can't leave a player in the box of marks. It's criminal, and that's what's exactly happened.
Yeah, and I think we've seen it far too often, where it's Middlesbrough. Doesn't really matter who it is, who we're playing. We do give away chances. We do always look like we are going to concede because we get prone to being opened up on the counter attack, and that's exactly what happened. There's too many gaps, and we keep screaming out for this CDM, who we hope will assure these gaps and give us a bit more structure, a bit more stability in the middle, a bit more protection in front of our back four. We haven't got that. We haven't got that, and no matter what combination we try, it just doesn't seem to work, does it? But it was good to see Paul Pogba back. I want to say, I think in the first half, when he went off, I feel like we missed his creativity in there. Look, we know Pogba's class. He's class, but he needs to be consistent. And I'm hoping now, look, it's very unlikely he's going to stay, but I hope that we can make use of him from now until the end of the season because he's a big player for us in terms of that creativity through the middle. And like I say, going forward, especially in that first half, I did think we looked a lot sharper. We just didn't take our chances. And that was the biggest downfall.
Yeah,
Go said about Sancho is running off the ball was really good as well. Aikavin, thank you for that. It says Sophie's the best United therapist to open up to after a disappointing result. Well, I try not to be too emotional. I try to be fairly balanced when I'm talking about it because it's quite easy, isn't it? And that's why I think it's so hard when we do call them straight after because you're still roaring the emotion. Luckily, we've had time to think about it now and calm ourselves about it. But at the time, I'd like to say I was fuming, but like we said earlier, I'm kind of just numb now. I'm numb and I expect it to happen. No matter who we are playing, I expect it to happen. But look, we've got Burnley up next. Again, I hate playing Burnley, as you know, but it's not going to be an easy test for us. I mean, how are you feeling going into that after what's just happened? I mean, it could go either way, couldn't it? We could bounce back or we could continue in this vein of form.
You know what? The first half of Manchester United, we played extremely well, and for me, we need to play how we did in that first half. And and I think another person who we was really missing out on was Edinson Cavani, because I think if he was the one who was actually starting, instead of a couple of other players, I reckon that there could have been a couple of goals scored because he is one of them players who are hungry for goals. So, hopefully Edinson Cavani could potentially be back there for Tuesday. I'm not 100% sure because he's on international break at Uruguay and having a little bit of a rest too. But I just think with Burnley now, especially it's away, I hate how Burnley play and I dread it every single year, going to turf war. But this is going to be it's just getting even more of a test. And knowing the fact that our squad depth is gone weaker too, that is a worrying thing too. Because if we pick up, say Sancho gets injured, we've only got Lingard left there on that right hand side. Then if Lingard gets injured, Rashford will have to move into an uncomfortable position. And then you look at what if Paul Pogba and Fred gets injured, that means we've only got McTominay and Matic. It's just a very horrible situation.
What's your thoughts on the whole Lingard situation as well? Because obviously he tweeted, didn't he, after the comment saying that he wanted the next few days off, and Twitter went into meltdown, saying how dare he ask for more time off after what's happened. And when I remember us talking before, we're keeping a player in Lingard who doesn't want to be here. He quite frankly doesn't want to be here. And I don't agree with keeping players at places where they don't want to be. But obviously, he's been through the academy and whatnot. He's been here for a long time. You think he'd be respectful to the club. But he did tweet out saying he'll always be professional. But even his tweet was kind of undermining what the manager had said. And it's a bit similar to the Martial situation not too long back as well. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand with this? Do you think it is the case that Ralf actually has got no loyalty to these players and he is calling them out when it happens? Or is it miscommunication from the club? Because apparently Murtoch said to Lingard that he could have the extra days off. So is that not being communicated to Ralf? Like, everything just seems a bit of a mess at the minute.
To be honest, I can't see Ralf lying. He's got no reason to lie about players to say, well, this is the case, this is the case. And for me, it's probably more miscommunication with the board and with the owners. And that's how I can really see that. Probably they've been saying one thing, Jesse Lingard and Martial to the board. Then Ralf is getting told one thing, and it's just a horrible situation to actually be in. And if Jesse Lingard wanted to go like he did, we should have just let him go, even if it was to go on loan. And we could have actually went and got a player on loan on the right-hand side till the end of the season. People would actually, I know probably a lot of people would disagree on this, but a lot of people was calling for even to get Dembele on loan because they'd rather have a Dembele on loan who's so injury prone than have Jesse Lingard at the club who isn't wanting to play for the badge.
Yeah, and obviously with the old Greenwood situation as well, we are now short, like you say, on the flanks. And yeah. But as always, the screams of Glazers out our back, and rightly so, because we've seen the lack of backing with the manager. And I get it, it's an interim and whatnot, but we've been screaming for a CDM now for so long. And if Ralph's going to be moving up and helping to recruit these players anyway, why can't he start early? I don't really buy that. Always waiting for the new manager to come in before we invest because he might not want these players. But Ralph's going to be doing the recruiting anyway. He's going to be the one who's selecting the players who are going to be looked at. So I don't really understand. You know what I mean? I feel like, yeah, we're just not investing where we need to invest. And yet again, it's showing on the pitch. Niall, thank you so much for the comment there saying about Kidderminster. What did I think about them? To be honest, I'm proud. As you know, I play for Kidderminster Harriers, and you just reminded me of that comment there. Today against West Ham. I mean, that's just been class for the club, class for the fans. The atmosphere, I know, was absolutely bouncing at Agborough. I'm playing tomorrow. I can't wait to speak to the girls. A lot of my team were there watching. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there today. But, yeah, proud. Regardless, proud. And obviously, football, it can be great, but it can be heartbreaking at the same time. And to go out like that, but like I said, they've got to hold their heads up. And to be able to take a West Ham, a very good West Ham team, that far, like 120 minutes before the game was decided, I think, yeah, proud to hold heads up. And it's been a great journey this season. It's been great to watch it and to be involved in that with the women's team as well. It's been really cool. So yeah, it's a shame, but it's football, isn't it? It's brutal. Yeah, can't really say too much more than that. It's just a shame. I take Dembele on loan. Don't care what anybody says or thinks he would do a job for United. Declan Rice is an absolute embarrassment for his celebration. I haven't seen the celebration. Seen the celebration yet. I want to see United win, so let's preview your next career mode game. So I'll be back in my career mode, don't you worry, on ECL next week. But yeah, it's frustrating, mate. We didn't get obviously any players in January after the whole Greenwood situation as well, and all the negativity that's been coming out of the club at the moment. A bit of positivity. It would have been nice to go through to the next round in the FA Cup, have that hope for a trophy, and that's been taken from us. But of course, there is still positivity at the club. We're going to talk about the women's team. Very good draw at Arsenal today. Disappointing you'd say 2 points dropped after the situation, after the start that we'd made in that game. But yeah, a draw at Arsenal. Surely we have to see that in a positive light, mate.
Yeah, we definitely do see it as a positive light. It's considering what we was at the start of the season. We was dropping points against Everton, dropping points against Spurs as well. And I'd say this is the best Arsenal side for a couple of years now because Chelsea has been dominating the Super League. So it is for me more of 2 points drop than 1 point gain, just due to the fact that Arsenal had one lady down. The fact that as well, Arsenal beforehand only had one shot on target. We was shutting them down. We was exploiting their midfield. So I was expecting at least to get that win, but a draw away, remain unbeaten in the league so far away. So it can take nothing but a positive, and we've got Derby Day next week as well, so we can only see that as a positive thing too.
Yeah, we're on a great run. Obviously, building confidence. Skinner, I think, has done a great job. And we should be going into that derby with our head held high and feeling like, you know what, we can match these, we can compete. People wrote us off at the start of the season, and now we're in and about, we're in the mix, and people are starting to notice United again. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think so far the positive signs coming out of the club are the women's team. And if people aren't watching the ladies' games and you are very down about the men's side, I would truly recommend going and checking out the ladies' game because they're a credit to the club. And big up to Nippon. Thank you so much for that super chat. What would your ideal summer transfer be? Declan Rice, for me. Declan Rice, Haaland. I'm not saying this is going to happen, by the way, but Declan Rice, Haaland, and I would love Lamptey from Brighton.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, I would love to get Tarek Lamptey from Brighton. I think that would probably be my ideal. What about you, Maze? Like, who would you say you'd most like at United? What would be your ideal?
We definitely need a defensive midfielder more than anything, in my opinion. And if I was the board, if I was the owners, what I would have done in this transfer window, I would have signed a pre-contract agreement with Kessie, because Kessie is actually on a free in the summer, and we could have signed a pre-contract agreement, 3 years, whatever it wants, and then brought him in the summer, ready, and that's what we really should have done. So that for me would have been a shout. I would take Declan Rice as well. I think Declan Rice is easily probably the top 5 best defensive midfielders in the world at the moment. Every single game, it just seems to be improving more and more. And I'd love to see what he'd be like in that 4-3-3 rather than the double pivot, because that's all we've ever seen Declan Rice in, a double pivot. So it'd be interesting to see what he would be like in that double pivot situation. And another player who I would take is called Timber. He's from Ajax. He's a centre back, and he's only very young, so he's quite a good investment for the future. And I think he's very quick, and defensively he's brilliant.
Yeah, lovely. You know what? That's a surprise one as well. I would love it if he managed to get the young talent before the big clubs come snooting. Do you know what I mean? We used to do that, and we just don't do that really anymore. Luke says Poch isn't going to solve the issue at the club. This isn't a tactics issue. It's a talent issue. This is a culture issue at the club. I have to agree with that. It goes deeper than a manager. We already know that. Lawbreak said, I cannot wait to get rid of Wan-Bissaka. If I get got an agenda, I've not got an agenda, but I do think Lamptey is a very bright player. Again, one of these youngsters that I feel we should be looking at already for the future. And I just feel like Wan-Bissaka has been very, very frustrating. And I know Delo's been playing there recently, and I think Delo's been decent, but I still don't think Delo's the finished article either. So, yeah. Lamptey was just one that I wouldn't want us to miss out on. But again, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just saying that's someone who I'd like to get. I'd take Kessie as well from Milan. Yeah, he would also be a very decent sign. And I think that CDM, like you said, Maze, that has to be the priority. Surely has to be the priority. And Reece said here, I'd rather stick with Rangnick and then get Poch. What's your thoughts on the Poch rumours? Because obviously rumours are he's not going to be at PSG at the end of the season. Everything's pointing to the fact that he could possibly be coming to United. Obviously, he's been linked to us many, many times before. Fergie obviously is a fan of him as well. He knows the Premier League. Like, would you be a fan of Poch coming in?
No, to be fairly honest, I wouldn't be a fan of him coming. I know that he is looking at leaving PSG if that's him getting a sack or if that's going to be a mutual agreement. But for me, I just don't feel like Poch would be suited for Manchester United. I think he's already hit his prime as a manager when he did take Spurs to the Champions League final. But because yes, it's absolutely brilliant. But people are saying they don't want a yes man at the club. But Poch went 2 transfer windows without making a signing, without strengthening Tottenham, and you need to strengthen your squad no matter what. He was the first manager in so many years to not win the league at PSG, and with the squad he's got, and he's only got so far a 36% win percentage in the Champions League, you do look at stuff like that and you think that is pretty concerning, because he's literally got a FIFA team right now. Look at that team. Yes. Imagine how much he spent on FIFA getting Messi, getting Ramos, getting Donnarumma. It comes to right load, and it just feels like he can't handle the egos at the clubs. And I think, but under the same breath, you could get a world-class manager, but nothing is going to change, because in the next 3 years, the same toxic cycle will just continue and continue. Because if you're starting the bottom half of a pyramid, and then you're not resolving the top half, nothing is going to change. It's just going to crumble down all over again. You've got to rebuild it back up.
Yeah, the rot starts at the top. You're spot on, and we all know that until these owners are gone, I can't personally see how this cycle's going to change. We've tried different managers over and over again. The players will always throw the manager under the bus. Ralf has come in, and I think he's trying to put a rocket up these players. And like I say, he's calling players out. He's not got any loyalty to them. He wants to do the best for the club, and I respect that and I rate that. But yeah, the buck always stops with the manager, unfortunately. But we all know that the issues are far deeper than that and go beyond that. And until that changes at the top, I can't see much changing elsewhere. I really can't. And I'd love to be optimistic and talk about it. But like you say, we've seen it so many times before. This cycle over and over again. This cycle has to break at some point. It's got to break. And the only way you're going to do that is by removing those at the top. Until the Glazers go, no matter who the manager is, we are just a sinking ship. Did we miss Cavani? I think we always miss Cavani when he's not playing. Yeah. I think we always miss Cavani when he's not playing. Genuinely, I think he's such a crucial player for us. Not only for his goals, but for his running off the ball as well. His work rate up there. He starts the press. He instigates it, doesn't he? And I feel like his presence in there yesterday would have been more than enough for Borough. And he would have definitely taken one of those chances that were presented to our forward players yesterday. No doubt about it, because he is clinical. Yeah, I hope Cavani is back, like you say, for our next game. I'd rather stick with Rangnick as well. I don't get why we're assessed with a player or a manager who has Premier League experience. I've never really been a massive Poch fan. I'll be honest. I like Poch, don't get me wrong, but I've never been like, oh, I really want Poch at United. Ten Hag, for example, he's someone that I've watched, and I think, you know what, he's someone I could really see being in charge at United and doing a good job. But Poch, I don't know, I think it's still a massive risk. I don't think he did a great job with Spurs, getting them obviously to the Champions League final and whatnot. I get that. But I've never been truly sold on him. And of course, if he takes over, I'd support him. I'll back whoever's in charge. I backed Ollie and got lots of stick for it, but I will back anybody who's in charge. But with Poch, I don't know. I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not sold. I'm not sold on it.
No, neither am I. I'd always back the manager as well, no matter who we get. So there has been a couple of mentions about Enrique, the Spain manager.
Yeah.
But the only problem is if we do get Enrique, he's not going to want to leave because he's contracted until the World Cup, which is obviously at the end of this year. So that means, well, who are we going to get until then? Are we going to give Ralf a 1-year contract extension? Are we going to have to sign another interim manager? What's going to happen there? And then that just gives more undecisions all over again at the club, and we're still going to be at this square one because players are not going to want to come to a club who's so undecisive and doesn't know what's going to be happening 6 months from now.
Yeah. Would you, so say you were the Glazers, you were in charge now, would you be looking at what Ralf has done so far? Because obviously performance-wise, we haven't really improved much. We haven't. A lot of stuff has come to the surface, obviously, regarding the players and their attitudes and whatnot. There's already been a few clashes with players because he hasn't got that loyalty to them. I personally think it's been refreshing to see that, to see a manager come in, put his foot down and think, you know what, these players have ruled this club for too long. It's something has to change. And whether you stay with me or you're going, I couldn't care less. Is basically what I get from. That's the vibe I get from Ralf, and I like that. Would you keep him on? Would you give him the time? Because obviously this is a big job. I'm sure Ralf was coming and realised it's a much bigger job than he first anticipated as well. It's a huge job. Would you trust him? Like, would you give him the time to turn it around?
Yes, I probably would give Ralf the chance to turn it around, but I'd also look at what candidates as well is wanting to come to Manchester United too. And me personally, I would rather go for a permanent manager for 4 years than go for just a permanent manager for 1 year. For me, I do love what Ralf is doing. The way he has saying to calling these players out, showing that he isn't to be messed around with, and that is something what I really do like as a manager, because there's too many yes men at this time, too much player power. I hate player power, but I look at it and I think Ralf is actually going to be a consultancy role. If I was the Glazers, I'd think, right, this consultancy role is a much more important. The board needs shifting up. So I would personally say, right, if I could find anyone else who isn't suitable, say if Ten Hag didn't want the job, if Enrique decides to don't want the job, people are even saying that they want the Seville manager as well. That's probably a load of rumours too, a load of gossip. But if that was the case, and then there was a manager who was experienced enough as well to want to come to Manchester United and wanted to come to Manchester United for the right reasons, and to sign that 3-4 year contract, I'd say to Ralf, that's okay. Thank you for what you've done as an interim manager, helping us all out, doing the best what you can for the club. Please can you come now in this consulting role, because this is where we need to sort everything all out now. We need to have a rebuild from the board upwards.
Yeah, definitely. It also depends on obviously if Ralf does want to stay. Of course he does. He might think, sod that, I've had enough of that, I'm moving upstairs. Do you know what I mean? That could be the case as well. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Thanks to Zio for that. Please do hit the like button, guys. I'd appreciate it. And obviously get your comments in as well. I'll get through as many as I can do. I'm trying to flag up ones on the screen to touch on. Running these time to build the young players like Arteta at Arsenal. What was Arsenal 2 years ago? And now Arsenal have Smith Rowe, Saka, excelling. You can start to see obviously Arteta's his philosophy coming through, can't you? You can see his process. You can see what he was talking about, the youngsters coming through. And they have got a lot. Martinelli's another one. A lot of young, exciting talent, 100%. Yeah, it's not. We all knew Rangnick coming in wasn't going to be an instant change. It's not going to be coming out. It's all fixed. It's all better now. We've got Ralf Rangnick in. He's got good experience. That's it. We're a better team. We've changed. It's not like that, because everyone knows it's a lot deeper than the manager. But like May said, it's going to take years for this. So if Ralf signs a 1 year extension, for me, that's still not enough. Like, we need someone who's got a project, a long-term project. And we keep saying the words that we rebuild. We're going to rebuild. We need to rebuild. Look at the players who we could possibly be losing in the summer. Then if that isn't a rebuild, I don't know what is. Like, most of our, you'd say, core players could possibly be going in the summer. So it's a clean slate almost for whoever does come in. So it's almost a perfect scenario for a new manager to come in, really, with all these players going, because they've got no choice but to invest and sign their players, have they? Because we've not got enough players to field at that rate, because we've got that many going. But are you concerned about the amount of players who could be going in the summer, Maze?
I see the person who I'm most concerned for is probably Cavani, because he'd be the one who I wouldn't want to lose. To be honest, all these people who are out of a contract, I'm not particularly that bothered about him leaving. Not bothered about Paul Pogba leaving. Not bothered about Lingard leaving. Ronaldo, if he don't get to the top four. I'm not even bothered about Ronaldo even leaving, if you want me to be fairly honest. And I never thought I would say that, because I felt like a 6-year-old me all over again with like 8-year-old me, 6-year-old young me, like thing like, oh, Ronaldo, I absolutely love Ronaldo. I felt young all over again, like my childhood came all over again. But I just think it just didn't work for him this time, and I think Ronaldo's legacy for me is a lot more important. And I would literally think if he doesn't want to be here, if he don't get into top four, then just let him leave, and we just need to have that rebuild. And I think Edinson Cavani for me is the person who I would literally be most upset about, because I can't think of one bad game Edinson Cavani has had.
Yeah. No, you're right. He always gives 110% as well. So even when he's not playing as well, he's putting his body about. He's effective, isn't he? Definitely. I actually think Ralf is getting a permanent position. I would not be surprised if he signs a few players from Leipzig or Salzburg as well. If the board isn't respecting Ralf now, Ralf might just be another name on the payroll as a consultant. If Ralf picks the manager, it'll be a protege like Marshall, Salzburg manager. I think the fact that it's the unknown and it's all up in the air is frustrating as a fan, isn't it? Because especially where we are at the minute, we feel like we're in limbo. We feel like we're going in circles and nothing really is changing. I'm hoping that there is a plan for the summer. We have got a plan in place, and it's not going to be another knee-jerk decision. Do you know what I mean? Not just someone who just fits the bill because they're available at the time. It's someone who actually fits the profile of the club and actually wants to take this team forward and has a plan and has a process. Natty says, I'm 100% confident we will get Rice in the summer, though, and I think he will have a good spine for the first time in years with De Gea, Varane, Maguire, Rice, Bruno, and Ronaldo. You all know me. Rice is my dream signing, I would say, at the moment for United. I have heard mutters from people that I know, like West Ham fans and whatnot, that Rice apparently doesn't want to go back to Chelsea. From being there younger, did have the best experience, doesn't want to go back there. So, look, I'm not saying it's impossible that he could come to United, and I'm not saying he's 100% coming to United, but it's not unlikely. Do you know what I mean? He could end up at United, but I think where we finish this season is a big factor in that as well. We need to get Europe again, 100%. Yeah. But he is overpriced. He's ridiculous money because he's young, he's English, and we know what happens. We're Manchester United. We will get rinsed if we get Declan Rice, no doubt about it. But still, he's a player that I want. He's just the one that I think fits the bill perfectly. Thank you for that, Harsha. Please do hit the like, and I appreciate that. So we've got a great show here. Big up to Mais as well. As always, a fantastic guest. I don't think we have been planning. I think we've been winging it for 10 years, if I'm honest with you guys. I think we say we're planning, and I think we're absolutely winging it. Knee-jerk decisions, left, right, and centre. Decisions that just do not make sense. Rice is another overhyped English player. I actually don't think he is. I don't think he is. Don't get me wrong, there's many overhyped English players, and I get that there are many overhyped, but Declan Rice, I don't know, Maze. The more I watch him, the more I feel like he's the real deal.
I actually think Declan Rice, for me, is probably one of the best defensive midfielders in the world right now. And I'd probably say Declan Rice is probably one of the only players who I wouldn't say is English overhyped player, if you want me to be fairly honest. There's something about Manchester United too, what I wanted to touch on. When we looked a couple of years ago, do you know when Pep Guardiola signed for Manchester City? It was during the January transfer window. It came all the big announcement, Pep Guardiola taking over from the summer. And that allowed Manchester City to build their team from January to what Pep Guardiola wanted. So they was able to contact Pep Guardiola to say, well, what player do you want? And we all knew his first signing was Gundogan. But what Manchester United should have done, they should have made sure that they had a permanent manager announced before the January transfer window. So it gave players the opportunity to be like, okay, you've got Ten Hag in the summer, or you got Poch in the summer, or you got this or this person in the summer, or you've got Ralf for another year. And that's how it should have been. They should have said, right, this is the new manager. Should have announced it a couple of weeks before transfer window. So it allowed then the new manager to come in to say, right, I want this player coming in, I want this player, and I want this player. And that should allow Manchester United then to get their players based on what this new manager wanted, so he didn't have a bigger test than what he did need to in the summer transfer window.
Yeah, Yeah, it's a good point. Luke says Declan's idol is John Terry. I know that, and don't get me wrong, his best mate is obviously Mason Mount, and he's at Chelsea as well. But I'm just saying what I've heard, and don't take me as a source or anything like that. But what I've heard is that he doesn't want to go back to Chelsea. He didn't have a good time there when he was younger, and apparently he doesn't want to go back. That's what I've heard through the grapevine. But don't take me as gospel. And I'm not saying, so he's definitely coming to Man United. He could end up at Man City. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying apparently Chelsea is in his ideal. But look, what do I know? Do you know what I mean? I'm not a source. There's just rumours I've heard. I've not got excited by it, so don't you guys get excited by it because I don't trust anything. Cavani leaving wouldn't have been a problem if all this stuff didn't come out about Greenwood, but Cavani leaving and if Ronaldo leaves as well is a problem for the next manager, definitely, 100%. Rice is going to be huge money. Did you notice how much bigger he is physically this season? Yeah. It's going to be huge money. We will be absolutely rinsed if we go for Declan Rice 100%. But I do think he would be an outstanding signing for us. I really do. It's better spending 100 million for Rice, who will have for 10 plus years, than getting some outside of England for 30-40 million, who will leave for Real Madrid or Barcelona in 3 to 4 years, or won't even be good enough to play in the Premier League as another one as well. Will be a flop. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Declan Rice is a big risk. It'll be a big fee, but I don't think he's a big risk. I think he'll slot right into us. And like we say, he's in the Premier League already, playing really well and playing well for England as well. You know what you're getting with Declan Rice. Big up to Red Devil Studio. Evening to you. The club does feel literally in the mud. I totally agree with that. I just saw a new person to the page as well. Big up to Jody, new to the page from Trinidad and Tobago. Go, Manchester United. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you joining us. And Zoe said, I don't think he's overrated. He is quality. I really don't think he's overrated. I think he is absolute quality. But I do see why people are a bit like, oh, you hear the name Declan Rice over and over again and you think he's just one of these hype players because we've had so many, haven't we? But I genuinely think he is the real deal. I think he mops up in that midfield really well. Can you see a clear out happening if United make top 4? There's clear out whether we like it or not because there's so many people who are near the end of their contracts and people who want out. So I think there's going to be a clear out regardless if we make top 4 or not. It'd be better if we do make top 4 because obviously we want to attract the best players. And I know money is a big factor in that, but so is European football as well. And it's important that we get there. And not investing in January could be the reason why we don't get there, to be honest. And that's as brutal as it's saying, but that could be so costly for us. And we all know where that falls. And that's not down to the manager at all. It's down to above his head, as we said so many times before that as well. But going into that Burnley game, and everyone in the chat let me know as well, but what's your score prediction, Maze, for that? Because we've already said Burnley at Turf Ball. Hate it. Max Branning as manager. I hate playing against Burnley. How are you feeling about that one?
Oh, I do not have a clue what it's going to be. It's going to be a very low scoring game. The way that we have played, the way Burnley has played, I'm going to go for just a 1-0 to Manchester United.
1-0?
Yeah, just a 1-0.
1-0. Clean sheet though, I'd take that. If more confident than me, mate, I'll take that. Any baddies that were saying, I would take that against Burnley. Do you know what I mean? Listen to us. 2-0 United, that's my pick for Tuesday night, says Niall. Gaz says 1-1. Bloody Burnley indeed. I hate playing them. I hate playing Burnley, but I do think like this, at business end of the season, results now are more important than the performances. We haven't been playing well, but it was Middlesbrough, but we did create a few more chances, particularly in that first half the other day. I'm hoping we can build on that. 1-0 to United, says Nippon. Burnley is brutal. Now we're going to slap them like 4-1, said Zio. You said we were going to slap Middlesbrough was it 4-1 you said, or 3-1? You were hella confident, I know that. And obviously it hasn't turned out to be right, so I don't get where he gets confidence from. And 1-1 at Turf Ball, 2-1, 3-1, 1-1 from Zoe. A lot of people going for a 1-1, low scoring game, to be fair, across the agendas there. I think it might be 2-1, and I think it's going to be a close 2-1 as well. I think we might have a bit of luck. VAR might equal out after not giving us a decision the other day. I feel like we might have a decision for us against Burnley. I think it'll be a tight one. I think we'll probably have to ride our luck a little bit. And again, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I feel like on the counter-attack, we are far too open at times. But I do think we'll win. I think we'll scrape through and we'll get a win. And that's all we need, really. Like I say, it's business end of the season. Results are more important than the performances at the minute. And I do think that we'll scrape through. Max Branning masterclass 0-0 there. Currently watching Burnley against Watford and it's 0-0. I think 3. But Burnley will turn up against us. You know what happens? They will turn up against us. The keeper will have an absolute worldie like Heaton did on many occasions. Pope has on many occasions against us as well. We'll see what happens. If I keep saying 4-1, one of them has got a hit. Let's hope it's 4-1 to United that does hit then and not the other way around because you keep going for that. 2-0 Pogba brace there.
Interesting.
Do you think Pogba will play again against Burnley?
Yes, I think probably. I think he
I hope
probably
so.
will play, and I think he did make the whole difference when he did play against Middlesbrough, and that's when I seem to
So
think
true.
that we kind of slopped down a little bit when Pogba wasn't playing. So I actually think Pogba was that big influence. I don't believe we should play Pogba every single game, but I think we should play him against Burnley. We do have some other tests coming up as well, but Burnley is always a hard team to score against, and we all know what Pogba's like. When he scores, he does absolutely wildy goals. So, and we might just need one of them against Burnley, to be honest, with how they park the bus.
True. And obviously, you mentioned tougher tests to come. We're here worrying about Burnley at Turf Moor on a Tuesday night in the Premier League. We've got to play Atletico Madrid in the Champions League not too long from now as well. Obviously, I can't wait to do a preview on that one. I'm hoping that we're going into it with a bit more confidence than we are against Burnley, because it's not really filling me with much hope at the moment. Sorry, you've hit the nail on the head there. This is so true. It'll either be a close game or we'll absolutely hammer them. There's no in between. And I think that is totally true. It depends on how we turn up. If we turn up, we'll batter them. If we don't turn up, like you say, it'll be a close game. I'm just hoping either way it ends in a United win, whether it's a glamorous one or whether it's just a scrape 3-1. Please just get the 3 points. That's what it comes down to. But Maze, this has been an absolutely fantastic show. And I want to say a big thank you for joining me again. I do appreciate it. Next week we will be doing a show, a Ladies in Red show. And I haven't spoke to you about it yet, Maze, but Nat will be jumping on with us and we'll be doing a group chat. So that should be hopefully really fun to touch on the women's team as well. But yeah, thank you to everyone obviously who's tuned in on a Saturday. Obviously, I know it's a bit random me doing this, but I appreciate you guys sticking with us here on Ladies in Red. Please make sure you obviously hit the subscribe button if you are brand new. If you haven't read your comments, I don't do it on purpose. Just drop a comment afterwards, and I'll obviously tune in there. I'll obviously check it there, and I'll respond to you. And obviously hit a like on the video as well. I'd appreciate that. And of course, Maze, with your fantastic channel, you're doing some fantastic content. Let people know where they can find you as well.
Thank you for having me on, Sophie. It's been such a brilliant stream. I've enjoyed all this discussion. It's been great, despite the loss from Manchester United. It's been a great discussion. My YouTube channel is Devils United. I am on the road to 500 subscribers there. I do the content for all Manchester United, so both the men and the women's side of football. You'll be able to catch it through my channel.
Definitely go ahead over there for the male and the female side of the game. Obviously, like I say, regular content as well. I've seen you putting a lot of videos out there, so I rate the work rate. So definitely go and make sure you hit the sub on Maisie's channel as well. And obviously everyone in the chat, love to you all. Thank you so much. This channel is nothing without you guys, so I always appreciate it. It's been a really good chat tonight. It's been good to actually talk. I feel like there's been a weight lifted off my shoulders. It has been like a therapy session, so I've enjoyed it. But yeah, Harry, big up to yourself. This first time on. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Harry. And yeah, share, guys. Let people know about Ladies in Red so more people can come and join us as well. We'll be back, like I say, next week. I'll be firstly back with my ECL stream. Check out the tweet and what time that'll be. That's where I'll do my FIFA career mode. And then me and Maze and the girls will be back with more content next week. So until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a lovely evening and we will chat to you soon.
Bye.